You say that Bolton's indictment is like Comey's and James's because it's about revenge. But then you say that's where the similarities end. So why is this indictment different?
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly my view, which is, yes, this case would not have been brought but for Trump's revenge, because we know the Biden Justice Department declined to bring this case, quite likely to avoid burning the means and methods through which they extracted the Iranian intelligence, which is a valid governmental concern. And I'm sure Iran, once that this leaked in August after the search warrant, has changed its method and probably made it more difficult for us to obtain those materials. But having said that, what we have now is, Bolton insisting that this is, purely revenge. That's clearly not the case if you read the indictment. Keep in mind that in the Comey case, seasoned senior prosecutors who were later forced to resign told the Justice Department that there was insufficient evidence to pursue the case. In the James case, senior prosecutors in the Eastern District advised that they didn't even go to insufficient evidence. They said there's no case. That's clearly not what we have here when you look at this indictment. And keep in mind, Judge Lamberth, 5 years ago in the dispute over the book, pointed out that Bolton's unilateral conduct had raised serious national security concerns, that he had gambled with national security, he'd probably harmed his country, and he'd certainly exposed himself to potential criminal liability. So this shouldn't come as a newsflash that there's a potential crime here. 2 federal judges, magistrate judges, issued search warrants where the probable cause standard that was used by the grand jury today was met, and they issued search warrants, and the materials that were taken are consequential and highly consequential, because the most important paragraph in the indictment to me is the paragraph that makes plain not a single one of the documents used in the book or in the pre-review process is a basis for any of the charges. All these charges are based on newly found evidence. So I think that echoes the seriousness of this, and it certainly undermines the political arguments that Bolton would like to make.
All right. And Bolton, of course, though, in his statement tonight is making exactly that argument, right? He's saying, making it about his book, right? As you point out, the charges in here are about things that weren't in the book, but he's saying it's about his book. His book was approved and by appropriate, experienced career officials. Says the FBI was made aware of the hack, right? Doesn't address the fact that he didn't talk about the Iran part, and says, though, the core part, in 4 years of the prior administration, after these reviews, no charges were ever made. Then came Trump, too, who embodies what Joseph Stalin's head of secret police once said: you show me the man and I'll show you the crime. So he's making that defense. And look, even today, when Trump said he didn't know about it, whether he did or didn't, who knows, Ty, but he said he didn't. But then he goes on to say, I think he's a bad guy. I think he's a bad person. I think he's a bad person. He says it again and again and again. Does that become something that can save Bolton?
Doesn't really save him. Trump knows it's wrong. He's been counseled about this. The judges in the civil cases and criminal cases over the years when he was out of office made it plain that he wasn't supposed to do that. His lawyers undoubtedly told him. Todd Blanche has probably told him that several times. But it's not going to derail the prosecution. It may result in a protective order of sorts, or it may result in a limiting instruction to the jury. But it won't save him. And this judge is a very seasoned judge. He's been on the bench for over a decade.
U.S. District Judge Theodore Chang, right? You know him.
Yeah, so I'm very familiar with that district. That's the district in which I was a prosecutor, and very familiar with the judges in that district. He's very highly regarded. He also will know more about the law on this and the classification issues than most of the other lawyers in the courtroom, because he held very senior positions at the Department of Homeland Security in their legal apparatus, for over 5 years. He's very experienced and highly knowledgeable, a former prosecutor. I'm sure the president will take no comfort in the fact that he worked at Wilmer Cutler, Bob Mueller's old firm, or that he's on the Harvard Board of Overseers. That may give him a little bit of adjective. But this is a very serious, nonpartisan judge who will do an excellent job of managing what will be a challenging case.
All right, Ty, thank you very much. And Ryan Goodman and Xochitl Hinojosa are with me now. So, Ryan, I know much of what Ty says echoes some of your thoughts. I know you believe, Bolton might even have to plead guilty.
Yes. So I once did a study on all Espionage Act cases that have been brought.
Yep.
I'd say first, many people have been charged and prosecuted successfully for far less than what has been alleged against Mr. Bolton. And second, very senior people, including the former director of Central Intelligence, John Deutsch, was charged for having just a computer at his home, and he put all the classified materials on the computer. That was it. In Bolton's case, he's got very serious problems because he disseminated the information to two people that should never have received it, his family members, and then it got into Iranian
On private
hands.
emails, and then Iran got it.
And then Iran got it, and that is booster rockets on a case against him.
Yeah.
When senior people have been charged with the Espionage Act and they have pled guilty, they've gotten light sentences. If they don't plead guilty, that might not be the case. So I think that might be the route that he ends up having to choose at the end of the day.
Right. Although, of course, he's making the argument about Joseph Stalin, right? You give me the man, I'll give you the crime. So to the point, though, on page 6, paragraph 14, this is the part when I read it sort of stopped me in my tracks. When they allege a cyber actor believed to be associated with Iran hacked Bolton's personal email account and gained unauthorized access to the classified information. A representative for Bolton notified the U.S. government of the hack, but did not tell the U.S. government that the account contained national defense information, including classified information. That's where your jaw drops, Xochitl, isn't it?
That's exactly where your jaw drops. And whenever I had a clearance, and whenever you go through the training to have a security clearance, you are always told about the handling of classified information and exactly how you must handle it and how you cannot take it home. And I'll point out, you were reading his statement earlier today. They talk about how these are handwritten notes. Handwritten notes doesn't necessarily mean it's no longer classified. It just means that the classified information is somewhere else, just like whether it's on a signal chat or whether it's in your notes. It needs to stay in a SCIF. And so this is the worst case scenario for the intelligence community. The intelligence community often fears of leaks. They often fear of spills. There are spills with a number of various former government officials where it was a mistake, et cetera. They had classified information. They didn't know that they had it, et cetera. But this is something a little bit different. This is what got into the hands of the wrong people. And he knew that he had the classified information, and he knew that there was a leak, and he did not notify the federal government. And so these are very serious allegations. I think that the indictment just says that.
So, Ryan, okay, here's the thing, though. Then I look at the back of the indictment. First thing I did was not even read the indictment, because this is the world we're in. The first thing I did was go and see who were the people who signed it, which, by the way, ordinarily is not something that I would go look at first. But now I do. Who's going to be the prosecutor? And these are career people that have a lot of experience, okay? So this is not Lindsay Halligan.
Right.
As we saw in the other two cases. But the other two cases exist, and Lindsay Halligan is doing them in the first case she's ever prosecuted. When Bolton makes the point about Stalin, and Trump comes out today and just talks about what a bad guy Bolton is and how great this is, what does that do to justice?
So I think to justice as a whole, it impugns the credibility of the Justice Department. And I've got to imagine the people who are the signatures on that indictment don't like what's happening elsewhere, because it really undermines their ability to bring cases forthrightly that are strong cases. And I do disagree with Ty on one issue, which is I do think Bolton now has actually something in his quiver, which is he can say, oh, I'm just like these other cases because Mr. Trump has been retaliating against me rhetorically for years. And
which
now
is
he finally
true,
got
which
me.
he has been, right? He
Yeah.
says he's a bad guy and a terrible guy. I mean, look, the 3 times in one comment today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But with Letitia James and James Comey, they can also say, and the case against me is really bogus and weak and would never be brought. Mr. Bolton does not have that. So if President Trump had instead been silent all this time, Bolton wouldn't even have that possibility of a defense.
So, can you address one thing, though, because I know you know a lot of people in justice and you spent a lot of time there. The case that Bolton's trying to make, which is that this is political because Biden was looking into it and they didn't bring charges then, and that proves that this is all political. How do you see that?
It is not political, and there is public reporting, and I'll point you to the public reporting that says that it was investigated under the Biden administration. What I will say is, as investigators gain more evidence, then they decide whether or not to charge. I think what is clear, and in other classified docs cases, is a search that the FBI does, and if they recover classified information and gain even more evidence to ensure that they can prosecute the case and secure a conviction, that is key to bringing these charges. And so just because it was investigated potentially over administrations and now charges are being brought in a different administration doesn't necessarily mean that the Biden administration declined to prosecute it. It's just when you get all of the evidence, that's when you decide to move forward.